All right, let's go ahead and get started. If as people file in, I might just take a second to just update them on anything that they've missed. But I don't want to leave you good people who showed up right on time. I don't want to leave you hanging for too much longer. What we're going to discuss today is exactly what you see on your screen. It's a blueprint for you as a seller to use to maximize the value of your home, your greatest asset, the most important sale you'll probably ever make, and probably the most expensive sale you'll ever make. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot of people feel as though, you hire a realtor, they put a sign out, they list it on the MLS, and the home sells. There's a whole lot more than that that goes on behind the scenes, and it really does matter who you work with. And I'm not here to tell you that that person to work with is definitely me. I'm probably not for everybody, but you should make sure to find the right person for you and the person that you feel most comfortable with before you make any decisions about who's going to handle the most important transaction probably of your life. A little bit about me before we get started here, just so you know who you're talking to. I've lived in Montgomery County since 1977. I married my high school sweetheart, and we are still very happily married. We've got two kids, my daughter Maddie, my son Benny. I'm an animal lover. We all are. We've got two dogs and a cat. Um, I live in Olney, Maryland, which is in Montgomery County, and it's an area that I feel a tremendous amount of love for. I've loved it since I was a little kid, and I love it as an adult now. I spent 22 years selling new construction, and selling new construction is basically like listing every home in a community. I worked in a model home. I had to have that model home presented perfectly every time people walked through it. It was the best way to learn how to sell real estate that you could possibly have. I was basically living it every single day. I am very, very committed to giving back to the community that's given so much to me. We chose a charity several years ago. It's the Children's Miracle Network, which is the Children's National Hospital. And last year, I became for 2025, I was the top contributing realtor in Maryland to the Children's Miracle Network. Um, I'm the kind of person that most people generally enjoy working with. I know a lot about real estate. I know a tremendous amount about Montgomery County, and I do try to keep things stress-free, simple, adding humor wherever I can, trying to keep this process fun for everybody. And if that's the kind of thing that you appreciate, that's what you should look for in your realtor. I don't know about you guys, but I don't buy a pair of flip-flops these days without first reading reviews about those flip-flops. I want to know if they're durable. I want to know if they're comfortable. And with the technology we've got available to us today, I can know that about literally anything and everything that I decide to purchase. It blows me away that some people will choose their realtor based upon the person in the cubicle next to them has a nephew who just got their real estate license, give them a shot. Or this is the person who sold my neighbor's home next to me, I'll just let them sell my home. Get online, it's not hard. You can go right onto Google, you can go right onto Zillow, you can see right there what other people's experiences have been. It's not a pair of flip-flops in this case. It's again the most expensive asset that you probably will ever own. Make sure that you're doing some research into the person that you're trusting to guide you through this process because you can choose wrong. And once you choose wrong, you're locked into a contract and you're stuck with that person until that contract expires. So make sure you do your homework. This is not something to take lightly. It's not something to just trust the person at the water cooler whose nephew just got the real estate license. It's not the person who has a sign in the grocery store and you see them every day when you go shopping. Don't do that. Look online. Check out the experiences of others. Make sure those flip-flops are comfortable before you buy them. I stress this to every person that I work with. People have this perception of selling real estate that it's going to be a stressful experience, and it simply doesn't have to be. That stress should be put onto your agent, not onto you. You let them know how much of that process you want them to take on. If they're not willing to take that on, find somebody else. That stress should be that stress for my clients is mine, much more so than it's theirs. So don't view this process as having to be stressful. Let it be someone else's stress. I tell everybody I work with that I work as your GPS. And we've all been on the road when our GPS has told us you should make a left turn here, and we think we should go straight because we've done this ride a few times and straight is the best way to go. And then we go straight only to find out that there's road construction or a car accident straight. And gosh darn it, we should have listened to our GPS. Let your real estate agent be your GPS, but remember that you have control of the wheel. You are the one driving this process. Unless, of course, you want to turn that wheel over to your agent, in which case you should, and just say, agent, take the wheel. But most of the time, people would like to be involved in that and ultimately make the decisions. Pricing, in particular, pricing your home, that is not something that should just be done by your agent. Your agent should provide you your guidance in pricing your home. And as you would probably listen to your surgeon or your lawyer, you want to you want to respect that that is a professional who has experience in the industry and knows what they're talking about. And if they don't, choose another agent. But if you've chosen your agent with the knowledge that they are someone that you should be trusting, you probably want to trust them on pricing their home, on your home. Um, so And by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. If anybody has questions as I'm going through all this, pop them into the chat. I'm looking at the chat box as I'm going through this. So I will stop what I'm saying and answer any questions that anybody has as I'm going through this. But pricing your home is generally the elephant in the room. It's the most important thing to most sellers is what are you going to price my home at? I live by the golden 14, which is the first 14 days that your home is on the market are absolutely the most vital 14 days. You want to maximize your home sales price. You want to make sure that you get it sold in that first 14 days. If you don't get it sold in those first 14 days, you become that wounded buck, and the buyers are the bear, and the claws come out, and all of a sudden they're seeing that they've got some easy prey, and what they're looking at, speaking not as a not using animals as an example, is a home that's been sitting for 2 weeks and a seller who's probably stressed out. The seller is the wounded deer, and they see that as someone that they can prey upon. So that first 14 days is vital. The other mistake I could make is pricing your home too low. If I price your home too low, that mistake isn't so terrible. Then I'm fielding calls and I've got frantic people that want to make offers on the property and they're rushing to get to the home. That's not such a terrible mistake. If I'm going to make a mistake, let me price it too low. Let the market correct it because ultimately the market determines the price of the home, not you, not me. We determine the asking price. We do not determine the sales price. The market is going to tell us what that is, and let the market come to you. If I'm going to make a mistake, or if your agent's going to make a mistake, let them make it low. If you think your home is worth 760,000, price it at 750. Let 17 offers come in at 750 and the price of the home get bid up to 825. But if the value of the home is 760 and I price it at 800, we're going to lose those 14 days. You're going to be a wounded deer in the woods. I went to the slide a little bit earlier than I meant to, but preparation for getting your home on the market is key. You don't take this lightly. That is, again, the most valuable asset you own. Prepare to sell it. I live by the 3 Ds in real estate, and I advise everyone I work with to do the same. You want to declutter your home. You want your home to show like it is a model home. You want people walking through that home and seeing a perfect, a pristine environment where there's no clutter and everything looks like it literally is a model home. And if you've never been in a model home, go into one before you list your home. See how they've got it set up. There's no wasted space. There's no clutter anywhere. They are minimalistic with their furniture, and it makes every space look bigger and more functional. It's pretty basic. The other D, depersonalize your home. People walking through your home want to see themselves living in your home. They don't want to see you and your family live as beautiful as your family might be. That's not what they're there for. They're not there to see your family living in the home and the memories you've created there. They want to envision their own family and their own memories that they're going to make there. And this sounds obvious, but to a lot of people, it's not. You don't want me running through the home with a vacuum and a Swiffer. You want a professional company going through there and deep cleaning your home. Again, model home. When I worked in that model home, we had the home cleaned twice a week. We had it cleaned before the weekend and after the weekend so that our traffic, the people that came through during the week, were looking at a pristine home. And of course, the people that came in through the weekend were looking at a pristine home. We paid for it to be cleaned twice a week. I'm not suggesting that you do that. I'm suggesting that before the home goes on the market, you have it deep cleaned. And if it lingers on the market for more than a week or two, you go back through there, either your agent or you go back through there and yeah, vacuum it, Swiffer it, get it cleaned again. You want it to present as a home that is loved and that you loved it and they're gonna love it. And this is what they're going to see in their mind's eye when they think about your home as a home that was loved. When I represent buyers, I always walk into a home and I can tell by the way the home is presented, whether the siding has been power washed, whether the roof has looks like it's been maintained, the gutters have been cleared, whether there's chips in the paint or paint that doesn't match on the walls, if there's stains in the carpet. These are all things that are cosmetic. And a lot of sellers say the same thing. Well, I don't want to replace the carpet because the new owner might like a different color and they might want to put their own color into the home. That's 100% true. However, but what it tells me when I see stains on a carpet is that the seller was okay living in a home that had stains on the carpet, and that's what I can see. What is it behind the walls that I can't see? What is it that the home is not telling me because I'm not able to see it? Did they change their air filter every month? Did they have their HVAC maintained? Was their hot water heater drained once every year or two? Did they love this home? I want my buyers buying a home that was loved by the previous owner because I know that if the previous owner loved it, that they're getting a quality product. If I can see cosmetically that it wasn't loved, two things. One, it's very much a turnoff to see a home that doesn't present well cosmetically, and you are not going to get top dollar if you've got non-matching paint or holes in the wall or you know stains in the carpet. You're not going to get top dollar for that, first of all. But second of all, it's telling me a lot about how you felt about your home, and I want to know that you loved it. You want to prepare it. This guy's a home inspector. You want to prepare it knowing that the home is going to be inspected. And when that home gets inspected, hi Audrey, welcome. Uh, I'm sorry you missed a little bit here, and I can go back and show it to you all again. I think it's all being recorded anyway, and we'll try to get you a copy of the recorded version. Feel free to shoot some questions into the chat. Um, you definitely missed the bulk of our presentation, but I'd be happy to maybe connect with you afterwards and go through the slides. But everyone else, we're looking at a home inspector here. Your home is likely to be inspected by a home inspector once it gets sold. You might as well prepare for that. You're going to get a list of items from that home inspector that the new owner is either going to negotiate with you to lower your price or negotiate with you to fix, or worst case scenario, they're going to cancel their contract because the home inspector says there's just a lot of stuff on here you're going to have to deal with. And they realize then you didn't love your home the way I wanted you to love your home. You didn't take care of your home and I don't want it anymore. So treat your listing like because you do know it's going to be inspected. So if you know there's a window that doesn't work, get it fixed. Don't let the home inspector tell the buyers that that window doesn't work. If you know there's a leak in one of your faucets, get it fixed. The inspector's going to get you on it anyway, and it's just going to give your buyers pause, and that's the last thing you want to do because these things can be tenuous, especially right now, by the way, when we're in a rising interest rate market. People buy that home with a lot of emotion and then they try to justify it with logic. And the emotion wears off after the first night or two nights where you're basking in the glory of having gone under contract for a new home. And then the logic kicks in and they're like, darn, I gotta fix a faucet and fix a busted window, and I'm out money already. And what else did the home inspector miss? Just don't let it come to that. Just make sure that any items that you're aware of get addressed prior to that inspector pointing them out. Your agent's job is to produce eyeballs. The way they produce eyeballs is with their presentation online, which is generally going to start almost end with photos. There's also a description, and there's also the way that they get the information out to the public. But my job as a listing agent is to get as many eyeballs on your listing as I possibly can. It's the first impression we all make on the market. And those photos have better be good. We all walk around every day of our lives with a really high-end camera in our pocket. That does not make us high-end photographers. We should not be taking our own photos. Your realtor should not be taking unless they're a professional photographer also, they should not be taking their own photos of your home. If they're doing that to save $500 that they should be spending. You're paying them 2.5 to 3% to sell your home. Uh, they can afford the $500 to get professional photos taken. The more eyeballs that I'm able to get on that listing, that's going to lead to more feet through the door. And more feet through the door is most likely, as the numbers tell us, going to lead to more offers. And the more offers we receive, the higher sales price you're generally going to get back on your home. So whoever you choose to list your home for sale, make sure they're not using their iPhone to take your photos. Ask them when you're interviewing them who they used as their photographer. um, Ask them if they do drone photography, if they do dusk photography. That photo that you're seeing right there up on the upper right, that was taken at noon. My photographer edits in the lights to make it look bright. He edits in that dusk shot to make it look beautiful. That is a striking photo, and it's what we call a hero photo. It's the photo that we use on the as the front page of every marketing that we do for that home. That's what's drawing eyeballs to the rest of the photos that we have for the home. It's got to be beautiful. The photo underneath that was taken from a drone of a backyard of another home. I'm not using that as a hero because generally the heroes are the front of the home, but it's very close to the front of the photos that I put online. And it's eye-catching and it's memorable. And yeah, it cost me another $350 to get a drone photographer out there in addition to what I spend on the regular photos. But you're paying me 2.5% of a property that's worth in Montgomery County every bit of $500,000, if not more in most cases. Even if it's $300,000, you're still paying me $7,500 to get your home sold if I'm taking 2.5%. And you can expect that I'm going to spend that money to market your home properly, and you should expect that any agent you hire is going to do that. Does anybody have any questions so far about anything that I've said? I tend to ramble and talk fast. If you have any questions or if you want me to slow down, throw it into the chat. Let me know. The Staying on the topic of photos, that photo up on top there, that is a teeny little kitchen in a 16-foot wide townhome. That the difference between me using my iPhone and taking a camera and me using a professional photographer is how spacious they made a teeny little kitchen look. Now, yes, when people go into that home, they're going to realize it's not quite as big as it looked in the photo, but that is not an edited photo. That is a real photo. And again, my job is eyeballs on, feet through the door. So we get those feet through the door because that kitchen looks awesome. I can tell you that kitchen is not awesome, but it sure does look it in that photo. And that's the benefit of using a professional photographer who's going to maximize what you've got. Take the subject and make it look as amazing as it can look. The one on the bottom is drone photos of a home that's on 3 acres, and it looks pristine from the air. And a lot of listing agents don't want to spend that 350 bucks on getting a drone pilot out to take photos of your home. But look what a difference that makes. Look how many more people are going to see that and say, wow, as opposed to a photographer or me or an agent standing there with their iPhone just taking that picture from the front of the home. It's not going to capture that same essence. Same thing, drone photos. Like there's no other way to take a photo like that. There's no other way to show how beautiful that deck is than to take that shot from above. It's worth it. It's worth it to me as a listing agent to take pride in the work that I do and to also maximize what I'm going to get as a return on your investment into me. My fiduciary responsibility as a listing agent is to maximize what you're going to get. And if I've got to spend a little extra money to do it, I'm going to. And you should make sure that whoever's listing your home is taking those same measures. Another thing that a lot of agents that have been at this for a long time, like myself, have seen the game pass them by. I did not let it happen to me, but a lot of, you want to work with someone who's been doing this for 30 years, but people who've been doing this for 30 years may not be so proficient on social media. You need to be. In today's age, you need to be able to utilize social media. It's free. I can get my reach out to so many people by making a post like this one and using my hero shot. And you can't see the whole listing on here, but there's four other pictures below it. And then there's a link to a walkthrough tour, which is a tour that of me walking through the home and pointing out the features and benefits and unique selling propositions of this home. I have a dedicated website that you can click onto on that second link down, and then a link to the full listing so that if somebody wants to look at the whole listing for this home, everything is there. Everything is there. And I have 1,600 people that follow me on Facebook. Every time I list a home, 1,600 people are getting exposed to this for free. Now I also boost this post. When I boost the post, that costs me money, not you, not you who hired me to take care of making sure that as many people get eyeballs on your property as possible. It's costing me money to get that boosted. And a little secret, it's not very expensive. If I spend $50 on boosting a property, that's a huge investment. And it goes to like an additional 3,500 people and it just pops up in their feed on Facebook for $50. And I keep it within a 15-mile radius of where the home is listed. So yeah, most of the people that are seeing that are probably not moving or probably not looking to buy a home in this price range. But who knows who they know? And who knows who they might want to share that with that might be moving into the area that might want to buy that home. And for $50, I got that exposure. Make sure your agent is doing that. Make sure they're taking advantage of social media. Make sure they're also taking advantage of things like homes.com, which for me is the most valuable between realtor.com and zillow.com and Trulia and all the ones that everybody's heard of. I like homes.com. Homes.com does something called display ad views with my listings because I pay for them. So someone who pays into homes.com, they're going to post this ad that you see on here is going to post on CNN, on Fox News, on ESPN, on MS Now. It's going to post on all these major websites. So I have people that take pictures all the time, friends of mine that take pictures of, they're just browsing ESPN for scores, and I pop up in the upper left-hand corner with my newest listing because it's being directly targeted to them. Homes.com does that. I pay them to do that. I pay them $500 a month to do that for me so that my listings get exposure. Make sure your agent is doing things like that. Look at the analytics on this. This has been on for less than a week. It's been viewed 9,800 times. And that detail page views of 66, that's 66 times people have clicked through every photo that's on that listing. So that's massive exposure for this listing in 1 week's time. All right. This is one that kind of makes me smile whenever I talk about it. There's very little barrier to entry to become a realtor. You need to pass a test. And if you fail it, you take it again. And if you fail it again, you take it again until you pass it. So there's a lot of realtors out there that don't do this as their full-time profession. I had a transaction last year where I was listing a $1.4 million home. The agent who brought a buyer, she was a wonderful person, but she was a part-time agent. And during the day, her full-time job, she was a gym teacher for a middle school. So between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m., I could not reach her because she was teaching class. So between 8 and 3, there was no communication between me and this agent unless she was, in between classes. And even then it was rare because she had other things that she had to deal with. And it's not just gym teachers, it's people that do any type, all kinds of different professions. You can get a real you everyone on this webinar could get a real estate license if you wanted one and still keep your current job and part-time maybe take people out and show them homes. Do you want a part-time agent listing your home? Do you want your buddy at work that whose nephew just got their real estate license but also teaches school for a living to list and be responsible for marketing and selling the most valuable asset you own? I don't. I don't want that. I don't think you do either. So check that. Make sure when you're interviewing agents that this is what they do full time. This is not a hobby for them. It's not a job that they're thinking about getting into, and it's not something that they just do as a side hustle. This is their job. I also think it's very vital that you work with an agent that has local ties. Uh, Beverly on here had mentioned to me in chat that she's looking to potentially sell her home in Northern Virginia. I would not be the right agent to sell her home in Northern Virginia. And even though I'm sure I would love to sell it because I'm sure it's expensive and there's a lot of commission to be made, I don't know the Fort Belvoir area as well as agents who specialize in that market. I specialize in the Olney and surrounding areas market. And I sell a ton of my listings off market just through word of mouth. The advantage of that for you as a seller is, first of all, my reach. If you're working in Montgomery County, this does not apply to you, Beverly, but if you're selling a home in Montgomery County, look for an agent that lives, works, focuses on Montgomery County. Specifically, if you're selling a home in Rockville, maybe look for an agent that focuses on Rockville. I focus on Olney and the surrounding areas. So Olney, Gaithersburg, Rockville, Durwood, Ashton, Sandy Spring, that's where my focus is. I have a huge network of people there, and when I get a listing in this vicinity and I post it on social media, I get huge response from my sphere, my people that follow me on Facebook. And last year alone, I sold 5 homes off market. Now, what is the advantage to selling your home off market? Selling your home can be, it doesn't have to be stressful, as we've talked about, but it can be a pain. Like you got kids in the house, you've got pets in the house, and every time somebody's coming to view your home, you got to get them out because that home has to be empty. You want that home to be welcoming for the people that are going through that. You don't want to be there during showings. So if you've got a great home and a lot of people want to see it, you work from home, or you've got, again got kids and pets, and it's a weekend, you got to walk the dogs in the rain. You got to pile the dogs into the car, take the kids out for ice cream, find something to do, go to the library for the day. If you want to have an open house from 12 to 3 on a Saturday, guess what? You can't be there. So you're out of your house from 12 to 3. You also have the uncertainty of, am I going to get my home sold? And do and as stress free as we try to make it, you're going to have that intrinsic stress of not knowing, am I going to get it sold? How much am I going to get it sold for? And all of that goes away if you sell it off market. You don't have to keep your home in model home condition every hour of every day. It doesn't have to look perfect. You don't have to yell at the kids if they leave their toys out because somebody's coming to look at the house in an hour. It's already sold and it never went on the market. You also have to bear in mind, while everybody wants to get top dollar, and we all do, that it does have to appraise. So if you got a home that's worth $850,000 and that's likely what it's going to appraise for, you might get 7 offers if you've got a good listing agent and they've marketed your property properly. You might get 7 quality offers. You might get an offer that's $900,000 for your $850,000 home. If they haven't waived the appraisal, it doesn't really matter how much they offer you because if it doesn't appraise for that, you're back in a negotiation as soon as that appraisal comes back. So you sell it for 900 and it appraises for 850, that buyer is probably going to come back to you and say, "Well, I don't want to have to come up with an extra $50,000 because they're going to only." And if you don't understand this, put something in the comments because it is a little complex. But the way that would work is a buyer doing an 80% loan, they're putting 20% down. It's not 20% of what the sales price is. It's 20% of the appraised value of the home. So if it only appraises for 850 and the sales price is 900, the bank is giving them a loan for 80% of 850. They got to come up with the other $50,000 to bridge that gap. And a lot of home buyers are willing to do that when the market is crazy and hot, and maybe they'll waive the appraisal, and that's awesome. Then you don't have to worry about it. But if they didn't, that $900,000 offer might as well have been $9 million. And I'm not exaggerating. It doesn't matter because when it appraises for 850, they're going to ask you to drop your price down to 850. So when reviewing options, if you do end up fortunate enough to have received multiple offers on your property, you got to keep that in mind. And one way you can help with the appraisal is going back to our home inspector slide from long ago. Make sure everything's perfect in that home. If you're gonna sell it for top dollar, make it worth top dollar. And then maybe your agent can convince that appraiser that because you've added quartz countertops and brand new white cabinets and hardwood floors all over the first floor, and the other homes that he's comparing you with didn't do that, you are worth $900,000, even though the comps say that you're worth 850. We do have some pull. This is another good point. Make sure that your agent is going to meet the appraiser at the home when they go out there, because that appraisal is a very important part of that process. You want that appraiser to like your agent. You want them to want to help your agent. You want them to think, oh, that guy was so nice. He answered all my questions. He brought comps for me. He made my job easier. He explained why this home is better than the other homes that I'm comparing it with. I'm going to make sure that this one works out for him. It doesn't always work that way, but you got a better shot if your agent is there schmoozing up that appraiser. The appraiser's human. This is not a robot it's not Zillow doing a Zestimate. This is a human being who does have the ability to sway what your home sells for. A lot of agents skip that appraisal appointment because, frankly, it's a pain. You got to carve out an extra hour of your day to go meet an appraiser when you've already done what many agents think is their job, but it isn't. And that is just selling the home. Your job as a listing agent extends well beyond just selling that home. You've got to make sure that your agent is going to meet that appraiser out there, especially if you sold your home for more than it might appraise for. Does anyone have any questions about that? That is kind of confusing, and I really do welcome questions. Love for this to be interactive. So if you got anything to say, shoot it into the chat. I'm looking at it. I must be doing an absolutely remarkable job of explaining everything because nobody has any questions. That pretty much sums up everything. I would love for if there's anything I didn't cover that you have specific questions about, shoot them into that chat. And yeah, you can. My assistant Fatima just shot in there that you can book a free consultation directly with me if you like what you've heard and you think maybe I can help you. And Beverly, if you don't have an agent that you're working with, I do have, as I had suggested earlier, someone who I know is a top producer in your area that I'm sure you would love. So please reach out. I would love to help you sell your home if you're in the Montgomery County area and you think that I'm the right agent for you. And if I'm not, I can certainly refer someone to you who can be. Any questions, anybody? If not, we can wrap this up. I thank you all for bearing with me and letting me blabber at you for the past 45 minutes. I hope this was helpful. Any any feedback would be very valuable. If you've got feedback for me, shoot it at me. I would love to hear it. And again, if there's anything I can do to help you, that's what I'm here for. Don't look like anybody has any questions, so everyone have a great Thursday night. And yes, thank you all for attending. Hope this went well. I hope it was helpful. If it wasn't helpful, by all means, let me know what I can do differently for the next time so that I don't waste anyone else's time with my webinars. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.